Good morning, eighth graders. It is Friday the 15th, 2021. We are doing Chapter 7, Section 4, as maybe you'll see if this will actually start working here in a second. There we go. This is, as you may or may not have figured out, the end of the chapter. So we're due for a test next week. Our test is going to be Thursday, which is the 21st. So a week from what was yesterday. Of course, you are watching this today. This is remote work Friday. So I'll post this today. But no school Monday, Martin Luther King Day. Tuesday, we will go through the study guides together for remotes. I will put that on YouTube Live for one of my second or third hour eighth grade class, one of the two. And then Wednesday in class, we'll play the review game. Remotes, if you have questions on the study guide, you've got that data, send me a message on Remind or through Google Classroom or whatever works best for you. Email's fine too. And then Thursday, a week from yesterday, the 21st. Thursday, the 21st is going to be our test day. So with that in mind, hopefully today's video is not going to be much over 20 minutes. I think would be stretching it. There's not a lot for me to say about a lot of this stuff. But the basic idea is that we've been talking about reformers, progressivism in the United States. We've talked about progressive leaders and presidents like Teddy Roosevelt. But one of the main problems in this era and through lots of different times in American history is that whenever one specific group, one specific group, usually the focus is on them achieving equal rights, whether that is people of color in the civil rights movement, whether that is women's suffrage, which we've talked about in this chapter, LGBT groups recently we're in 2020 now. Whenever the spotlight shines on different groups at different times to try to achieve greater rights and greater equality, and a lot of times throughout history, a problem has been whatever group is in the spotlight at that time, try to shun and exclude other groups from achieving those same rights, and that causes problems down the road. Like I said in section 2, I think women didn't really do that. Women really, the motto was lifting as they climb. They really tried to step up and bring other groups with them, but that there are definitely exceptions, okay? Because the majority of Americans were white Protestants born in the United States, still are, and non-Protestant, non-native residents often face discrimination, still do. We hear a lot of this same language and a lot of these same fears being stoked and discrimination being placed upon people today. Okay, race, religion, ethnic background, place of birth. Like I said on the last slide, you can add, sexuality or whatever now today, sexual orientation or whatever else. There's dozens of things that people choose to discriminate against others on. But during this specific time, Catholics were a big target of the what you could call nativists. The Ku Klux Klan would be a part of that, of these white Protestant Americans. And they believe that Catholics specifically, and Jewish people as well, threaten the American way of life. And people still say stuff like that today. And the idea that there's a problem with that is that you're letting those people define what American way of life is. And so somebody that is, just because you're born in a specific part of America, or just because you have a certain religion, or just because you're of a certain race or anything else, doesn't make you any more or less American than anybody else. Okay, I'm no more or less American than somebody that lives in California or New York, or somebody that's Black or Latino or Asian, or somebody that's, 1,000 different other things. Like I've said, that people choose to treat others differently based upon. Okay. Jews also faced an extra layer of discrimination because a lot of them were Eastern European. We talked about maybe last chapter, maybe even the one before, but they had a different cadence in their languages, which sounds a lot like shouting, and they had entirely different customs and culture, and so they were considered to be even more foreign. Okay, they were considered to be very different by a lot of people and treated as such. Again, it's wild that we literally put on the books laws that would specifically discriminate against specific groups. We've had targeted laws before that, we talked about a few chapters ago, the literacy tests and the poll tax, and those were targeted. And we talked about how they were targeted and to whom they were targeted: freed slaves and people of color. But they were written as such that they were like, well, this applies to everybody, which, again, is not really the case because of the grandfather clause and everything else. But in this case, we literally just put on the books, no Chinese, which is incredibly just bald-faced racist. It is what it is. Like I said, the fact that we did that is not a bright, shining moment in our history. Doesn't mean we should ignore it. These are things we should learn from. California made it illegal for Japanese immigrants to become citizens or buy land. And of course, as has been a running theme since Chapter 3 in 7th grade, African Americans are facing discrimination throughout the entire country. A lot of people get this idea that the South, in my room, that's South. Things flipped, whatever. Anyway, that they have slaves, which is true. They are racist, which is true. They're the bad guys, which was true in the Civil War. And therefore, the North is good. The North is unracist. And the reality is not that simple. You can argue degrees of racism, but the fact of the matter is these people were facing discrimination no matter where they went in the country. Okay, we live in what was the Union, what was the North now. I'm sure, at some point in your life have seen or experienced racism in Illinois yourself. And so the idea that we are this paradise nirvana on earth where everybody holds hands and sings Kumbaya and roasts s'mores and eats, drinks hot cocoa together and loves each other is not really borne out by facts. So the KKK is reborn in 1915 at first. Came to right after the Civil War because we didn't prosecute a lot of the Civil War leaders as we should. Instead, we built statues of them later on, which didn't really come till the 1900s, which is another story for another day. But anyway, more than 2,600 people were lynched. That basically just means a mob drags them out of their home and murders them. Why didn't the police stop this? Because in a lot of cases, the police were in the KKK themselves. Okay, and African Americans try to take it upon themselves. We read about Washington. We read about Du Bois yesterday. They had different opinions on how it should be done. But basically, it came down to the fact that they felt like they had to step up themselves and take the steps towards equality without counting on any help from white people or the government itself. And so they took steps to do that. Okay. Women also, and African-American women specifically, made incredibly, Ida B. Wells, we read about in the book yesterday, or you should have read if you're at home. It just basically just mentions in the book, she got run out of town. She got, the mob chased her out of town. Why? Because she published the names of people who were in a lynch mob. You know what I mean? So no good deed goes unpunished back then. All she did was list the names of people who have committed murder, if not multiple murders, and she was running out of town. However, she wrote a book called The Red Record. She published a newspaper and put these people on blast, and the number of lynchings did decrease because of her efforts. Okay. Mutualistas, self-defense groups from Mexican Americans, the Jewish citizens formed the Anti-Defamation League. And so basically what you get is an encircling in each minority group to be like, hey, let's just look out for ourselves. And again, that is a reaction to these nativists, to the KKK, who are lashing out at these other people and who are mistreating them. And so this is the opposite of progress. What you want is you want more collaboration, cooperation, and coexisting among different types of people. But what we're getting is the opposite: is that all these different groups are retreating back into their shell like a turtle, and it creates a lot of problems down the road, some of which we're still dealing with today. Okay, so remotes and or anybody that is in person, that is at home today doing remote work. In-person people, you don't need to do necessarily the Google form, because I'll be able to check your notebook when you get back. Remotes, you need to fill out the Google form and answer the question that I'm going to ask on the video today, which is coming up right now. What is your favorite dessert? Okay. Cake, pie, cheesecake, fruit, doesn't matter. What do you like to eat for dessert? What's your favorite sweet treat? Put it in the Google form. If you don't like sweets, that's fine. You could say that too. Okay. Okay, that's it for me today. Again, your test is Thursday. Have a great rest of the day. Keep your mask on. Keep washing your hands, hopefully. More and more of us, they roll out the vaccine to make it more available to more of us and more of you at home. I'm actually getting my first shot today, as I told some of you in class yesterday. So I might feel bad over the weekend, but I'll hopefully feel better and back by Monday. Anyway, have a great 3-day weekend. I'm sorry, back on Tuesday. So have a great 3-day weekend, and I will see most of you on Tuesday. And the rest of you get a bad deal. You just have to see me. I don't get to see you. So sorry. Take care. Bye.